access the drain for the coolant system, you can take this bolt out right here, use a T20 socket. Loosen this up. You can fold this down. If you want to, you can take the whole panel off, but you don't have to. And then you can access the drain right there. And you can actually put a hose on it so you can redirect the coolant. You want to make sure that the vehicle is not hot when you open this. So that's there. And then there's the valve to open it. You just slowly open that. Make sure you have a drain bucket underneath. And again, make sure it's not hot when you're doing this. There we go. That's drained out. Now we can just close that drain. Take that hose off if you put a hose on there. Disconnect the connector for the pipe right here. Slide that aside. We're gonna loosen up this worm clamp here. Just to give myself a little more room, I'll disconnect the connector here. For the throttle body, use a 7mm socket. I'm gonna loosen up this worm clamp. Now that's loose. We're just gonna start taking the hoses off here. There's a clip for this one. Just take this clip off. You can use a pry tool and then slide that up, out of the way. Now I use some hose clamp pliers. Take this hose clamp and move it down. You can slide the hose off, out of the way. Using the hose clamp pliers, slide this one off and just twist it back and forth. Just like that. There's a connector right here with a retainer. You just want to use a trim tool, get the retainer off. Pop that off and just slide this out of the way. Just going to disconnect it so it's a little bit easier to get it out of the way. Just use a trim tool or a straight blade screwdriver. Slide up on this. And you can slide that over there. There's a connector down below here. Just push on the tab, slide that connector off and out of the way. Now if you can pry this off a little bit, and then just slide that out of the way, you can see a little better. Now take this clamp off, use some hose clamp pliers. It might be easier to use the remote hose clamp pliers if you can fit it in there. And try to slide that hose off. And that's good. There's 3 bolts we need to take off for this housing. You're going to use an E10 socket. There's one right here. Loosen that up. There's one underneath here. And then there's one in the front over here. Take all those out. Now we can just pry this off. Slide it out. Looks like the gasket got stuck on there, so you want to take that gasket off, just like that. And just wipe this off. If there's any gasket material still on there, you want to use a scraper or a razor blade. Just get that off. That looks pretty good. Just use a little brake parts cleaner and a rag. Now take the housing, line it up, get the screws started. Now you want to torque these to 71 inch-pounds. I'll slide the hose on the back, get that lined up. Then release the clamp. Attach that connector down below, the coolant temp sensor, the connector over here, push it in, and ratchet that down, and then reattach that on the side right there. Should have a push clip there. And put this other radiator hose on. Take the hose clamps off, and this hose as well. Line that up. Now slide the intake hose back on. Get the clamp in the right place. With that all the way on, then tighten this clamp down. Make sure that's snug. Just grab the hose, make sure it doesn't twist. Connect the connector, throttle body, and then this air sensor right here. Connect that. Now we'll connect this hose. Now this piece goes to the other housing. You can take this off right here. Set that aside. And slide that off. Slide that into the new one. And slide this connection right on there. Lock it in place. That's good. And the bolts underneath, get those started and tighten those down. Now take the appropriate coolant, make sure it's the appropriate mixture, and fill up the coolant at the reservoir right here. And you want to fill it up to the full line. With that filled up, then you want to run the engine for about 10 minutes, constantly monitoring the level out here and monitoring the coolant temperature, make sure it's not overheating, and then shut it off, let it cool down, and adjust the coolant level.